All right, so our topic for this week is about uh, the Kemp model of instructional design. And the learning objective for this week's module is that by the end of this week, you'll be able to effectively describe and use the Kemp model of instructional design for designing face-to-face or online instructions. So we'll go ahead and I'll start explaining to you briefly the components or the stages of the Kemp model of instructional design. So the Kemp model of instructional design has 9 stages. You can say the 9 components or elements which are required to complete designing effective instruction. So the first stage or the first element is instructional problem. This is the time where you identify what is needed, designing instruction for what course or at what level. This is what you're like trying to identify what is needed, the problem which need to be solved by designing the instruction you are supposed to design. And the second stage or the second element is identifying and also describing the characteristics of the learners, which are the target of the instructional design. So you as instructional designer, you are supposed to know the characteristics of the learner to whom you'll be designing instruction for. So you need to know them in terms of their age, in terms of their culture, in terms of their language ability and cognitive abilities. So you need to know their characteristics in different ways. The third stage or the third element is task analysis. Here is where you try to analyze what should be done for the learning objective to be achieved. Here you analyze all the tasks which can be done in the whole process of the instruction design and implementation as well. Step 4 or element 4, this is where you actually state or formulate the instructional objectives. You state specific objectives to be achieved through the instruction which you're designing. They need to be stated in a very specific way. And here it is useful to utilize the Bloom taxonomy of learning objectives, where you need to state your learning objectives using action verbs, verbs which can be observed, which can be assessed to see if the learners have achieved the learning objectives. You don't need to use abstract verbs. You need to use action verbs. Your instructional objectives should be specific. They should state who are the target audience, the learners who to which you're designing the instruction. But also they need to state the time within which the instructional objectives should be achieved. Your objectives also need to state the extent to which the learning objectives should be achieved. Here, you're talking of the mastery level of the skills, the knowledge which our learners are expected to acquire as the result of implementing the instruction you are designing. And going forward, we are now moving to stage 5, or element number 5. Here is content sequencing. At this point, you need to decide how you will organize or how you will structure your content. The content should be structured or organized in a very logic manner, which can help learners to connect different aspects or different topics or subtopics in the whole body of the content or in the course which you're designing this instruction for. And moving forward, stage 6. Stage 6 is instructional strategies. This is where you decide and choose which strategies you're going to use to achieve or to implement the instruction which is planned here. At this point, you choose the teaching methods. What teaching methods are you going to use? Are you going to use, for example, maybe demonstration or discussion or lecture, which I don't encourage, but basically you need to choose or identify instructional strategies which provide opportunities for learner to participate in the learning process. You need to choose strategies which will allow engagement, will provide engagement. Students will be engaged with the content, engaged with each other, and engaged with the teacher as well. And also at this point, you need to think of what type of technology can be used to support the implementation or delivery of this course content. So you need to identify all those at this stage. Moving forward, stage 7. Stage 7 is designing the message. Here now, you kind of write the lesson notes. You plan and prepare what the detailed content of the class now. For example, here it can include writing your maybe PowerPoint slides or writing class notes, which you will share with, which will be shared with the learners. Sometimes it can be maybe identifying and highlighting which should be included without going to the lot of details for what is to be covered. But those highlights will help during implementation of the instruction to now go in details. And moving forward, stage 8, this is instructional delivery. This is where you actually deliver the content which has been designed and planned for the class or for the course. So this is the actual delivery of the content based on what has been designed and planned. And here is where you utilize the instructional strategies, you utilize the technology which you have identified to facilitate the teaching and the learning process. And finally, stage 9, this is the final stage, which is about evaluation instruments. This is where you prepare or where you format and formulate instruments which can be used to evaluate the course of the instructions to see if the instructional objectives has been achieved or not. You also evaluate if the chosen strategies and technologies has been successful in helping or facilitating delivery of the content. So you evaluate the not only learners achieving the learning objectives, but also how the delivery process went and how everything was implemented and how successful was it. Now, as you can see, the diagram or this figure here, it is cycle. This says that this model, it is like it can repeat itself. It is a cycle model. You don't need to go in a sequential order, but the stages can overlap each other. And also there can be maybe going forward and coming back as you are planning and even when you're implementing the instruction. But as you can have been able to note that around the different components or the different stages, you have some of the things which need to be done. For example, you need support services. You need also planning. You need to have project management. So you need these things to be considered as you're moving around in planning. And talking of evaluation, you will carry out formative evaluations. As you can see at the bottom of the diagram, you have formative evaluations. These are the evaluations which can be done on daily basis. Every day, a subtopic is delivered, you can evaluate. But on the right hand of the diagram here, you have summative evaluation. Summative evaluation is the one conducted at the end of the semester, maybe. So that to evaluate the whole course, if it has been successful or not. And when talking of support services, you're talking of support services for both students and teachers as well. For example, if you're using technology, you may need IT staff to support the use of technology to facilitate the teaching and the learning process. And the whole process involves a lot of activities which need not to be in a linear, they can be in cycle, like going and repeating themselves like that. They don't need to be in a linear order. All right, so that is the Kemp model, and I think this is one of the model which has so many steps compared with other model like Assure model. Now, for the assignment, as usual, you'll have assignment question in which you describe your understanding of the Kemp model of instruction. And also, you'll have a discussion question. For this week, you'll be comparing the Kemp model of instruction design with the ADDIE model of instruction design. If you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you. Thank you so much.